In a quiet little neighborhood, a boy named Liam lived in a world without light. Since birth he had never seen his mother's face, never known the color of the sky, never felt the shape of the sun with his own eyes. Everything was only sound, touch, and endless darkness. Liam often sat by the window, humming softly to himself to fill the silence. Other children rarely approached him, unsure how to connect. Liam did not get angry, but his heart often felt empty. His mother, Sarah, a strong and caring woman, always tried to make Liam feel no different from anyone else. Yet each time she saw him sit still, his small hands reaching out into nothingness, her heart felt pierced. Until one rainy afternoon, when fate began to change Liam's life. On their way home from the market, Liam's ears caught a faint sound. It was a whimper, so weak it was nearly drowned by the pounding rain. "Mom, what's that sound?" Liam asked, his face filled with curiosity. Sarah stopped walking and listened. Yes, from a narrow alley came the sound of a fragile cry. They stepped closer, and there, under a soggy piece of cardboard, lay a shivering puppy. Its body was frail, ribs sticking out, eyes filled with fear and despair. Liam knelt, reaching out with trembling fingers until he touched the fragile creature. The puppy stirred weakly, then licked his hand with the smallest gesture of trust. "Mom, he's all alone. Can we help him?" Liam's voice shook between fear and hope. Sarah hesitated, her thoughts heavy. They lived simply, and caring for an abandoned animal would not be easy. But the pleading look on her son's blind face broke her heart. At last, with a soft breath, Sarah whispered, "All right, we'll try." A smile spread across Liam's lip. From that moment their story began. A blind boy and a fragile puppy, two souls equally lost, now bound together by a mysterious thread of destiny. The rain poured hard outside, but inside their small home warmth slowly returned. Sarah filled a bowl with warm broth and placed it beside the trembling puppy. Liam crouched close, his hands carefully searching for the fragile body. The puppy sniffed the air, then cautiously lapped at the broth. Its tail gave the smallest twitch. Liam's fingers traced the shape of its thin ribs, the uneven patches of fur, and the fragile heartbeat beneath its skin. "I'll call you Scout," Liam whispered. At the sound of his voice, the puppy lifted its head and gave a timid lick to the boy's hand. For Liam, who had only known loneliness, that moment felt like the first touch of a friend. The following days were a whirlwind. Sarah spent hours nursing Scout back to health, feeding him tiny portions and wrapping him in warm blanket. But it was Liam who refused to leave Scout's side. He would hum softly, his hands running through the pup's fur, memorizing every curve and line. Something unspoken grew between them. Scout, once terrified of every sound, now leaned into Liam's touch. Each time Liam reached out, the puppy nuzzled against him, as if to say he understood the boy's own longing for comfort. Sarah watched from the doorway with a mix of awe and worry. Her son had always been empathetic, but what she saw now was extraordinary. Liam seemed to instinctively know what Scout needed, as though their souls were speaking in a language only they could understand. One evening, as Scout lay curled at Liam's feet, the boy asked softly, "Mom, do you think he was abandoned?" Sarah hesitated. She did not want to burden him with the cruelty of the world. "Maybe," she said gently, "but now he's with us and we'll keep him safe." Liam smiled, his small hand resting on Scout's back. The puppy gave a contented sigh, as if agreeing. That night, for the first time in years, Sarah heard her son laughing in his sleep. And she realized Scout had already begun to heal something inside Liam that she never could. Weeks passed, and the transformation in Scout was astonishing. His fur, once patchy and dull, grew smooth and soft. His fragile body gained strength, and his eyes began to shine with playful light. The house that once echoed with silence was now filled with the sound of paws pattering across the floor and a boy's laughter that had long been missing. Despite his blindness, Liam took on many responsibilities. He filled Scout's water bowl by touch, learned how to scoop food into the dish, and even tossed a small plush ball across the backyard. Scout always found it and nudged it back into Liam's hands with gentle persistence. One sunny afternoon, Sarah stood on the porch, her heart swelling as she watched her son rolling in the grass. Liam was laughing uncontrollably as Scout covered his face with sloppy kisses. It was a sound Sarah had not heard in years, full and unrestrained, echoing like music through the yard. But not everything was easy. Scout was still young and untrained. Bowls tipped over, shoes were chewed, and more than once a chair toppled as Scout jumped in excitement. Liam stumbled often, and his blindness made it difficult to keep up with Scout's bursts of energy. Yet each mishap only deepened their bond. Instead of frustration, Liam's laughter grew louder, his patience unshaken. One day, Sarah decided it was time for a real outing. Together, they walked to the nearby park, Liam gripping Scout's leash tightly while Sarah guided them. The park was alive with sounds, birds calling, children shouting, leaves rustling in the breeze. Scout barked at squirrels and sniffed every patch of grass, his tail wagging furiously. Then something unexpected happened. A group of children approached, their eyes fixed on the energetic puppy. "Can we pet him?" one of them asked. Sarah looked at Liam. He nodded eagerly, and the children gathered around. They stroked Scout's fur, giggling as the puppy wagged his tail. Their curiosity soon shifted. "How can you take care of a dog if you can't see?" a child asked innocently. Liam didn't hesitate. His hand rested gently on Scout's back. "I don't see him the way you do. I feel him. And he feels me too. We understand each other." For the first time, Liam wasn't the boy who was different. He was just another kid with a dog. Sarah's throat tightened as she watched, tears stinging her eyes. That evening, as they walked home, Liam whispered to Scout, "You're my best friend. You're not just a dog. You're my hero." Scout wagged his tail, pressing closer to the boy's side, as if he understood every word. The days grew warmer, and with each sunrise Scout revealed a new side of himself. He was no longer the fragile puppy they had rescued. His legs were stronger, his bark deeper, and his spirit brighter. Yet beneath his playful nature, another instinct slowly emerged, an instinct to protect. It began with small things. Scout barked at the mail carrier, his body tense until Sarah assured him there was no danger. At the park, when another dog bounded too close to Liam, Scout positioned himself firmly between them, his tail stiff, his ears alert. Sarah noticed it all. She began to wonder if Scout could sense Liam's vulnerability in ways no one else could. One afternoon, while Sarah was busy in the kitchen, Liam and Scout played in the backyard. The boy laughed as Scout nudged a toy into his hands. Suddenly, a loud growl split the air. Scout froze, his fur bristling. Sarah rushed outside, her heart racing. At the gate stood a large stray dog, its teeth bared, pacing with menacing step. Liam, startled by the noise, stumbled back. "Stay back, Liam," Sarah shouted, grabbing a broom with shaking hands. But before she could move closer, Scout planted himself firmly between Liam and the growling intruder. His body stiffened, his teeth bared, and he barked with a ferocity Sarah had never seen. The stray snarled, its eyes locked on Scout. For a tense moment the two animals faced each other, the air charged with danger. Then, as if intimidated by Scout's unyielding courage, the stray backed away slowly, disappearing into the bushes. Sarah dropped the broom, her hands trembling. Liam's voice quivered. "What happened, Mom?" She knelt beside him, her heart heavy with emotion. "Scout protected you. He protected us all." Scout turned and pressed his head against Liam's leg, tail wagging slowly, as if to reassure him everything was safe. Liam knelt down, hugging the dog tightly, his small fingers gripping the fur that now felt like armor. From that day forward, Sarah knew Scout was not just a pet. He was a guardian, and though Liam could not see the fire in Scout's eyes, he could feel it in every wag of the tail, every nuzzle of comfort, every heartbeat that matched his own. Scout's courage gave Sarah an idea. If this dog could sense danger and protect Liam so instinctively, what more could he do with proper guidance? Soon, she discovered a local program where trainers taught dogs to assist children with special needs. One bright Saturday, Sarah led Liam and Scout to a wide-open park filled with barking, laughter, and the rustle of leashes. Trainers moved between families, giving instructions, while dogs of all sizes practiced commands. Liam clutched Scout's leash tightly, his free hand gripping his mother's arm. The noise overwhelmed him, but Scout stayed close, ears pricked, his body pressed against the boy's leg. A cheerful woman knelt down in front of them. "This must be Scout," she said warmly, letting the dog sniff her hand. "Are you here to see if he can become a service dog?" Liam nodded. "He's already amazing. But maybe he can learn more." The trainer smiled. "Let's find out." They began with simple exercises, walking in a straight line, sitting on command, staying calm in the crowd. Scout did well, his tail wagging as Liam's voice guided him. But when the tests grew harder, things became uncertain. Navigating obstacles confused Scout. Retrieving specific items left him frozen, ears twitching as he searched for guidance he could not see. Liam crouched beside him, whispering encouragement. "It's okay, buddy. We'll figure it out together." The trainer observed quietly, her eyes thoughtful. "Scout has incredible potential," she finally said, "but he needs more training. And you, Liam, need to learn how to lead him with confidence. He looks to you for direction." Liam's shoulders sagged. His fingers tightened around the leash. "I want to try," he said firmly. And so the weeks that followed were filled with lessons. Scout learned to ignore distractions, to follow clear commands, to walk with steadier focus. Liam struggled at first, his voice uncertain, his instructions stumbling. But with every failure came small victories. One afternoon, Scout led Liam through a maze of cones without bumping a single one. "You're amazing, Scout," Liam cried, throwing his arms around the dog. Scout wagged his tail furiously, licking Liam's face as if celebrating together. Yet one challenge remained. Busy intersections, with the roar of engines and blaring horns, paralyzed Scout with fear. He froze at the curb, trembling, torn between his duty to protect Liam and his own terror of the chaos. The trainer placed a gentle hand on Liam's shoulder. "This will take time. Trust is built step by step. Don't give up." That night, Liam sat on the porch, Scout's head resting on his knee. "Maybe I'm asking too much from you," he whispered, fingers tracing the shape of Scout's ears. "Maybe you'd be happier just being a regular dog." Scout pressed closer, letting out a soft whine, as if refusing to let Liam doubt himself. From the doorway, Sarah spoke quietly. "He doesn't see this as a burden, Liam. To Scout, this is his purpose. And he's learning, just like you are." Liam wiped at his eyes, nodding. "Then we'll keep going. Together." The next morning brought a knock on the door. Sarah opened it to find a tall man in a police uniform. His name was Officer Daniels. He had heard of Scout's progress from the trainer and wanted to help. "I see a brave dog with real potential," he said, kneeling to pat Scout. "If you're willing, I'd like to guide him through more advanced training." Liam's heart leapt. The thought of Scout learning from a real officer filled him with excitement. Sarah agreed, and soon the backyard turned into a new kind of classroom. Officer Daniels taught Scout how to track scents, to respond to sharp commands, even to recognize emergency signals. At first, Scout stumbled, distracted by the unfamiliar drills. But with Liam holding the leash, his small voice steady, the puppy began to understand. Each lesson built trust, each success brought pride. One afternoon, Officer Daniels hid a small pouch in the park. Liam held the leash tightly, his voice clear. "Find it, Scout." Scout sniffed the air, his tail wagging as he followed the invisible trail. Minutes later, he barked sharply, nose pressed against a pile of leaves. Liam bent down, his hands brushing the pouch. "You did it," Liam cried, his arms wrapping around Scout's neck. The dog wagged furiously, licking his face. Officer Daniels watched with a smile. "That's not just training," he said softly. That's a bond you can't teach. But progress came with pressure. As Scout's abilities grew, so did the challenges. Sarah decided it was time to test them in the city, a place bursting with noise and chaos. On the drive there, Liam's fingers gripped Scout's harness, his chest tight with nerve. The moment they stepped onto the crowded sidewalk, the boy felt the weight of it, the honking cars, the chatter of strangers, the wail of sirens. Scout stiffened, ears twitching, his body alert but uncertain. Deep breaths, Liam, Sarah whispered. Remember, Scout is here for you. They moved slowly, weaving through the crowd. For a while it seemed manageable, until they reached the intersection. Engines rumbled, brakes screeched, horns blared. Scout froze, his paws locked to the ground. It's okay, buddy, Liam whispered, his voice trembling. We've got this. But Scout would not move. His fear held him captive. Sarah quickly took Liam's arm, guiding them across as the dog stayed stiff with panic. On the other side, Liam crouched down, stroking Scout's fur. You were scared, weren't you? He murmured. It's okay. I get scared too. Scout pressed against his hand, tail wagging slowly, as if apologizing. Sarah's voice was calm but firm. You both faced it. That matters more than perfection. Though Liam tried to smile, doubt stirred in his chest. For every step forward, the city promised trials they were not yet ready to face. The city had left its mark on both Liam and Scout. The noise, the pressure, the fear that froze them, it lingered. Yet Sarah believed in progress through small steps. So the next weekend she suggested another trip, this time to a large park in the heart of the city, quieter than the streets but still full of life. At first, things went well. Liam held Scout's harness firmly, guiding him with soft commands. They practiced walking in straight lines, stopping when told, and weaving through obstacles. Scout's tail wagged with each success, his confidence slowly returning. But peace rarely lasts. A group of teenagers played frisbee nearby, their laughter ringing through the park. Suddenly, the disc soared too far and landed just a few feet from Scout. His ears perked, his body tensed, and before Liam could react, he bolted. Scout, no, Liam cried, stumbling forward, nearly losing his grip on the leash. Scout snatched up the frisbee, tail wagging proudly. But as he turned back toward Liam, another sound cut through the air, a deep, threatening growl. A large dog had appeared, its teeth bared, body rigid with aggression. Liam froze. Scout, he whispered, panic rising in his throat. Sarah rushed to his side, her heart hammering. The stray advanced, its growl low and dangerous. Scout dropped the frisbee and stepped forward. But instead of lunging or barking, he did something extraordinary. He lowered himself slowly, placing the frisbee on the ground between them like an offering. His tail wagged gently, his body relaxed, a gesture of peace. The stray paused, its growl fading. It sniffed the frisbee, then turned and trotted away into the trees. The danger dissolved as suddenly as it had come. Scout picked up the frisbee again and bounded back to Liam, eyes bright with pride. You did it, Scout, Liam whispered, tears spilling as he knelt to hug the dog. You're my hero. Sarah pressed a trembling hand to her chest. What she had witnessed was more than courage. It was instinct shaped by love, a wisdom beyond words. From that day on, she knew Scout was not only a guardian but also a peacemaker, capable of sensing not just threats but the ways to calm them. And though Liam could not see the miracle with his eyes, he felt it deeply in his heart. After the incident in the park, Liam's confidence soared. Scout was no longer just a pet. He was a partner, a shield, and a friend. Sarah suggested it was time to face their hardest trial yet, the downtown transit station. The very thought made Liam's stomach twist. He had heard stories of trains roaring like thunder, of crowds pushing and rushing, of voices echoing until they became a storm. But he also knew that if he wanted true independence, this was the mountain he had to climb. That morning, Liam gripped Scout's harness with steady hands, though his palms were damp with sweat. If we can handle this, he whispered, we can handle anything. Scout wagged his tail, his body pressed close to Liam's leg, ready to face the unknown. The moment they entered the station, chaos swallowed them whole. Announcements blared overhead. Trains screeched against metal track. The thunder of footsteps shook the floor. Scout's ears twitched wildly, his body rigid. "Easy, buddy," Liam said, his voice low. "Just stick with me." They moved carefully through the crowd. For a moment, hope bloomed, until a train pulled in with a deafening roar. Scout froze, trembling, refusing to move another inch. Liam crouched beside him, stroking his fur with shaky hands. "It's okay. We'll rest. I'm not leaving you," he murmured. Minutes passed before Scout finally calmed. They tried again, edging toward the platform. Liam's heart hammered, but he gave the command with steady determination. This time, Scout stepped forward. Slowly, carefully, they reached the waiting area. Relief flooded Liam. "That's my boy," he whispered, scratching behind Scout's ears. But triumph turned to terror in an instant. A man rushed past, his bag swinging wide. It struck Scout hard against the ribs. The dog yelped, stumbling back in fright. The leash jerked in Liam's hands as Scout tried to retreat, his body shaking. "Scout," Liam cried, panic breaking his voice. The dog refused to move forward, his fear overwhelming every command. The bond that had carried them through so much felt fragile in that moment, threatened by one careless accident. Sarah hurried to them, her voice steady but firm. "Give him time, Liam. He needs to feel safe again." Kneeling, Liam whispered through clenched teeth, "I'm sorry, buddy. I should have been ready. You're safe now. I promise." Scout pressed his head against Liam's hand, trembling still, but with a flicker of trust. The setback was undeniable, but so was the bond that held them together. As they left the station, Liam felt a heavy ache in his chest. The weight of failure sat on his shoulders. Yet beneath it, a spark of determination still burned. Scout and he had come too far to surrender now. The defeat at the transit station haunted Liam for days. He replayed the moment Scout froze, the fear in his dog's trembling body, the way his own hope had slipped through his fingers. But giving up was never an option. Sarah reminded him gently, "Progress isn't a straight road. Every stumble teaches you where to step next." Her words lit a fire in Liam's chest. Soon after, they joined sessions at a therapy center designed for service animals. The space was filled with controlled obstacles, simulated traffic sounds, and safe environments where mistakes were not failures but lessons. There, a trainer named Claire welcomed them with kindness. Under her guidance, Scout practiced figure-8 walks, stopping at mock crosswalks, and ignoring distractions like sudden noises or tempting treat. Each drill tested their trust. Each success stitched their bond tighter. One day, Claire challenged them with a simulation of a busy street. Traffic roared from hidden speakers, footsteps echoed, and a volunteer tried to distract Scout with food. Liam's heart pounded. "Stay with me, buddy," he whispered. Scout's ears flicked, but his focus stayed. Step by step, he guided Liam safely through. Claire clapped. "You two make an incredible team. Trust like this is rare." Liam's face lit up with pride, his hand buried in Scout's fur. In that moment, he realized setbacks did not erase progress. They only strengthened his resolve. Months passed, and word of Liam and Scout's journey spread. Families, children, even strangers came to see the boy and his dog who defied every obstacle. One afternoon, at a crowded market, Scout proved his worth in a way no training could. A boy ran up to Liam, crying, "My sister is blind. She's lost. I can't find her." Liam's chest tightened, but he tightened his grip on Scout's harness. "Find Emma," he commanded. Scout lowered his head, sniffed, and pulled forward with purpose. Through the maze of stalls, past the chatter and commotion, he led Liam until a faint voice called out, "Tommy!" The siblings embraced, safe again. Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she watched her son not just survive, but help another child find her way. That night, on the porch, Liam stroked Scout's fur, whispering, "We're not just partners, Scout. We're proof that even in the darkest times, love and courage can guide us." Sarah's voice trembled as she placed her hand on Liam's shoulder. "You've taught me something, my son. True light doesn't come from eyes that see. It comes from a heart that believes." The lesson was clear. In every trial, Allah placed hidden blessings. A blind boy found his guide. A broken puppy found his purpose. Together, they became each other's light.